Detective Emma Carter glanced at the clock on the wall of the Chicago PD Missing Persons Unit. 8:47 p.m. Another long night in a job that had seen too many faces vanish without a trace. She reached for her coat, ready to call it a day, when her desk phone rang. She hesitated, debating whether to let it go to voicemail, but instinct kicked in. She answered. "Detective Carter," she said, rubbing her temple. A frantic voice came through the line. "My daughter is missing. Please, you have to find her. Something's wrong." Emma straightened in her chair. She had heard this panic before, parents clinging to hope, their voices edged with fear. But something in this woman's tone sent a shiver up her spine. "Slow down for me," Emma said calmly, grabbing a notepad. "What's your daughter's name?" "Ashley Monroe." The woman's breath hitched. "She's 24. She works as a journalist at the Chicago Tribune. She left work at 6 p.m., but she never came home." Emma's pen paused. Journalists sometimes went missing for reasons far more sinister than an ordinary abduction. "When did you last speak to her?" "Around lunchtime, the woman," Ashley's mother said. "She sounded normal. We were supposed to have dinner tomorrow, but then I called her after work, and her phone went straight to voicemail." Emma tapped her pen against the desk. "Has she ever done this before? Maybe gone somewhere without telling you?" "No, never." A sharp inhale. "She told me she was working on something big, a huge story, but she wouldn't say what it was." Emma's gut twisted. "Did she say anything else?" "No, but she had been acting different lately, paranoid almost." Paranoid. That was never a good sign. Emma jotted down the details. A young journalist investigating something big. A last known location in downtown Chicago. A sudden disappearance. She exhaled, already knowing this case wasn't going to be simple. "I'll start looking into it right away," Emma assured her. "We'll find Ashley." But as she hung up, a heavy feeling settled in her chest. Something told her this wasn't just a missing persons case. This was something far darker. Detective Emma Carter stared at the grainy security footage, her heart pounding in her chest. On the screen, Ashley Monroe walked briskly down Michigan Avenue, her dark coat pulled tight against the February cold. The timestamp read 6:23 p.m. She seemed distracted, glancing over her shoulder as if sensing someone behind her. Then, at 6:25 p.m., Ashley turned onto a side street near Millennium Park. A shadowy figure emerged from the crowd and followed her. Emma paused the footage. The figure was tall, clad in dark clothing with a hood pulled over their face. Their posture was tense, deliberate. They weren't just walking in the same direction. They were hunting. Emma rewound the footage and watched again. The same eerie moment. Ashley, moving with urgency. The shadow behind her, closing the distance. And then, nothing. No more camera angles picked her up after that turn. It was like she had disappeared into thin air. She exhaled sharply and pulled up Ashley's phone records. The last signal pinged near the intersection of Monroe and Wabash, right where she vanished. But after that, silence. No more calls, no outgoing texts. Either her phone was off, or someone had taken it from her. Emma's gut told her it was the latter. A knock on her office door made her look up. Officer Jake Reynolds stepped inside, holding a file. "Got something. Ashley's best friend, Jenna Wallace, just came in. Says she might know what Ashley was working on before she disappeared." Emma grabbed her coat. "Let's go." At the precinct, Jenna Wallace sat in the interrogation room, her hands clasped together, anxiety written all over her face. "She was scared," Jenna said, voice trembling. "Ashley told me she was working on something dangerous, something that could get her in trouble." Emma leaned in. "What kind of trouble?" She wouldn't say much, just that it involved a powerful man. A senator, maybe? Emma's blood ran cold. "Did she mention a name?" Jenna swallowed hard. "No, but she said if anything happened to her, it wasn't an accident." Emma clenched her jaw. Ashley hadn't just gone missing. She had been silenced. And whoever was behind it was still out there. Detective Emma Carter leaned back in her chair, staring at her monitor. The name Senator Richard Langley flickered across her screen. A well-known politician with a pristine public image, but politics had a way of hiding secrets. Jenna's words echoed in her mind. Ashley was working on something dangerous. If she had been investigating Langley, she may have uncovered something worth killing for. Emma pulled up Ashley's recent articles. Her last published piece was about corporate fraud, nothing that screamed life-threatening. But then she found something more interesting. An unpublished draft buried in the Tribune's database, only partially written. The title, The Untouchable Men of Washington. The people could have thrown in any garb to hatch, like Owen Bailey, Valen. Emma's pulse quickened. Clicking on the file, she found only a few paragraphs. The article hinted at deep-rooted corruption involving bribes, offshore accounts, and an unnamed senator. But before Ashley could finish, someone had deleted the rest. Someone knew she was on to them. Emma slammed her laptop shut. Damn it! Whoever had taken Ashley hadn't just silenced her. They had erased her work. Her phone buzzed. Detective Carter, it's forensics. We recovered Ashley's laptop from her apartment, but what? Emma asked, already dreading the answer. It's been wiped clean. No files, no history. Like it never existed. Emma gritted her teeth. This wasn't a random crime. It was a cover-up. That night, Emma met with Jenna again at a quiet diner on the outskirts of Chicago. Jenna's hands trembled as she stirred her coffee. Ashley told me she had proof, Jenna whispered. Something big, but she didn't keep it on her laptop. She was too smart for that. Emma leaned forward. Where, then? Jenna hesitated, then said, She mentioned a safe deposit box. Emma's heart pounded. Did she say which bank? Jenna nodded. First National, downtown. Emma grabbed her coat. If Ashley had hidden something in that box, it could blow this case wide open. But as she stepped out into the cold Chicago night, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her, and that whoever had taken Ashley would do anything to keep the truth buried. Detective Emma Carter parked her car a block away from First National Bank. The streetlights buzzed overhead, casting eerie yellow pools onto the pavement. The bank was closed for the night, but she wasn't here for a withdrawal. She was here for Ashley's safe deposit box. The next morning, she walked into the bank with a warrant. The bank manager, an older man with a wary expression, led her to the secured vault. Emma's pulse quickened as she was handed box 237. If Ashley had hidden something here, it had to be big. She opened the box. Inside, she found a USB drive and a small notebook. She flipped through the notebook, scanning the messy handwriting. Dates, names, financial records. Then she saw it. Langley's name. Alongside it were offshore bank account numbers, company names linked to fraud, and something that made her breath hitch. A single phrase underlined 3 times. If I disappear, this is why. Emma swallowed hard and plugged the USB into her laptop. The files contained emails, transaction receipts, and recorded phone calls. Ashley had uncovered millions in bribes, linking Langley to organized crime. And then her phone rang. A robotic voice crackled through the speaker. You should have stayed out of this. Emma stiffened, scanning the bank's quiet lobby. Who is this? Silence. Then the call ended. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. They knew she had the files. Emma drove straight to the precinct, gripping the wheel like a lifeline. She had enough evidence to expose Langley, but she needed Ashley alive to testify. A tip from an informant led her to an abandoned warehouse near the river. It was a known drop site for illicit dealings, a perfect place to make someone disappear. Gun drawn, Emma stepped into the dark, damp space. A muffled whimper. She followed the sound, rounding a rusted pillar, then stopped cold. Ashley was there, bound to a chair, her face bruised but alive. Before Emma could reach her, a figure stepped from the shadows, gun in hand. A masked man. You shouldn't have come, he growled. Emma's grip on her gun tightened as she stared down the masked man. His stance was relaxed, but the way he held his pistol, steady, unwavering, told her he was no amateur. You shouldn't be here, detective, he said, voice cold. Walk away, and you won't get hurt. Emma's heart pounded, but she kept her expression unreadable. Not an option. Let her go. The man chuckled, shaking his head. You don't understand, do you? This isn't about one girl. This is bigger than her. Bigger than you. Behind him, Ashley stirred, groaning against her restraints. She was weak but conscious. That was good. It meant there was still time. Emma glanced at her surroundings, a warehouse full of shadows. One entrance behind her, likely another in the back. She had to be careful. If she made the wrong move, Ashley wouldn't make it out alive. She subtly reached for her radio. A soft click. Dispatch would hear everything now. Backup was coming. She just had to stall. "I know who you work for," Emma said, eyes locked on the man's. "Langley sent you, didn't he?" The man stiffened ever so slightly. She hit a nerve. "You have no idea who you're messing with," he growled. Emma smirked. "I think I do. And I think he's scared. Why else would he send a guy like you to clean up his mess?" His finger twitched near the trigger, too close. Then the distant wail of sirens. The masked man cursed under his breath. "Damn it!" He took a step back. Emma seized her chance. She fired first, aiming for his shoulder. The shot rang through the warehouse, and the man staggered back, dropping his gun. "Move!" Emma shouted at Ashley, rushing forward. She grabbed a pocket knife from her belt and sliced through the ropes. Ashley slumped into her arms, weak but breathing. "Emma!" Her voice was hoarse. "I have proof. Hidden, I know," Emma said. "You're safe now." The sound of police boots pounding against concrete echoed through the warehouse. Officers swarmed in, weapons raised. The masked man was tackled to the ground, pinned and restrained. Emma held Ashley close, her pulse still racing. She had found her. But the fight wasn't over yet. Emma sat across from Ashley Monroe in a quiet interrogation room at the precinct. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glow over Ashley's bruised face. She looked exhausted but determined. A survivor. On the table between them sat the USB drive, the key to everything. Ashley took a deep breath. "I didn't mean to get in this deep," she admitted, voice hoarse. "I thought I was just chasing another corruption story, but the more I dug, the worse it got." Emma leaned forward. "Tell me everything." Ashley's hands trembled as she opened her notebook, flipping to a page filled with scrawled names and numbers. "Senator Langley isn't just taking bribes. He's laundering money through dummy corporations, millions of dollars. And it's not just him." Emma's stomach tightened. "There are others?" Ashley nodded. "Judges, police officials, business moguls. It's a whole network. People who pull strings behind the scenes, making sure they stay untouchable." Emma exhaled sharply. She had expected corruption, but this? This was an empire. Ashley swallowed hard. "They knew I was on to them. I started getting threats. Then, a week ago, I noticed someone following me." Her fingers tightened around her notebook. "I tried to be careful, but I wasn't careful enough." Emma nodded, her mind racing. "And the night you disappeared?" Ashley closed her eyes, reliving it. "I was heading home when I saw someone waiting near my apartment. I panicked, took a different route toward Millennium Park." She exhaled. "That's when they grabbed me." Emma clenched her jaw. "And Langley? Did you ever meet him?" Ashley hesitated. "No, but he sent someone, a fixer. I never saw his face, but he told me, 'Drop the story or you disappear.'" She swallowed. "When I didn't listen, they made good on their threat." Emma tapped the USB. "This is enough to bring them down." Ashley nodded. "But they won't go down quietly." A knock at the door. "Captain Reynolds." His face was grave. "We just got word. Senator Langley is on a private jet. He's leaving the country." Emma stood, her pulse spiking. They had to move. Now. Because if Langley disappeared, justice would disappear with him.